All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case over on Rumble. Of course, chat is working, but it still says wait till your video finishes processing. So, okay, now we're live. No problem. We've got a lot to talk about today. First, starting off with poll analysis. It couldn't really be more dire for Joe Biden, actually, at the moment. I'm going to snap this out so I can actually see these polls. Yeah, that's a little bit better. The Hill-Emerson polling does not look good for Joe Biden. It's really good for Donald Trump, and therefore for me and for all of you, actually. We also had more general election polling the other day from Harvard-Harris and Consult. And again, Donald Trump appears pulling ahead. So much for that mythical Biden surge. 4 police officers shot dead in Charlotte, North Carolina, sorry. They were apparently attacked by a felon. They were serving a warrant there's a felon with a firearm, and he opened fire. I'm having a feeling that probably this particular felon was of the violent kind, considering his reaction in this particular scenario. Apparently, there were several others in the home. Thankfully, they didn't get injured. The U.S. military is building a floating pier off Gaza. The Pentagon says it will cost a mere $320 million. With military budgets being inflated the way that they tend to be, with $1,000 toilets and stuff, that's actually a steal. It's actually useful, too. You'll save money in the long term because it'll allow aid shipments to be much more efficient. Not saying that I believe there should have to be aid shipments. It shouldn't be necessary to begin with, but you're going to have to send them, having a floating pier for, organizing things, I guess makes sense. They're doing it offshore specifically so that it doesn't get raided by Hamas, I suppose. Prosecutors have dropped all charges against Arizona rancher George Allen Kelly. So good news of the day. This white pill moment. Yes, there is still hope for our republic. Kevin Dolan, if birth rates continue to plummet, civilization will end. We'll talk about the natalism and anti-natalism debate as well. And a new coagulant has been developed, actually, over in the University of Geneva and the University of Sydney. They're cross-training an anticoagulant that can be almost immediately stopped in its effects, which is actually really exciting for medical news because there are problems attendant with using anticoagulants. Sometimes you need them, but then you also need to be able to shut them off fairly quickly. Someone gets a cut and they start bleeding out. It could be a real big problem. When your coagulation factor is 0, basically it's induced hemophilia more than anything else. Sparky, greetings, fearless leader. Greetings to you as well, Sparky. A lot going on today. I've got a couple of things to do later. There's gardening to do. Fucking Anton's Biltong came through. Oh, I'll be doing a taste test tomorrow of the venison and the elk. So to Anton, if you're watching, I don't think you've hopped on yet. Usually he hops on a little bit later. Definitely big shout out to you. And thank you very much for the ground elk and ground venison meat, actually. One of them leaked in that particular bag. It's not a big deal. Nobody fucking cares. It goes in the freezer. It'll be fine. I have a feeling my dad's going to want to steal the ground venison, though. And a follow-up from Sparky. Doubt the pier is for humanitarian aid. Well, yeah, you can also use it as a mobile base, actually, offshore that can't really be hit by Hamas. So it could point to a different function. My hope is, of course, humanitarian aid is the goal. We'll see. You never know. You might be right. Ego Mayhem, I hope these protests and riots last into Pride Month so we can either see massive brawls or mind-boggling hilarity as cognitive dissonance breaks down. Yeah, it'd be really, really funny when people who are hardline Islamists meet up with people who are homosexuals. There could be some fireworks. I'm actually not hoping for that because I don't want to see people hurt. But, there'd be definitely irony there. It'd be sort of a grave irony, but let's get right into the news. Latest polls. Yes, indeed. We have several new polls, mainly from the Hill and Emerson conducting these. Arizona, Trump v. Biden. These are all the Trump v. Biden ones. In Arizona, Trump +4. In Georgia, Trump +3. In Michigan, Trump +1. In Nevada, Trump +1. And this is probably underestimating his support. North Carolina +5. Pennsylvania +2. And Wisconsin +2. Then we have the 5-way matchups. They get even better. Arizona, this is in a 5-way race. So Trump, Biden, Kennedy, West, and Stein. They're polling for that because that's the reality. even though it's probably going to be a juxtaposition between those two rounds of polling in the end, because some people at the last minute, they'll be like, well, I really do like Cornel West, but I've got to pick the lesser of two evils or something like that. Arizona +4, Georgia +6, Michigan again +1, Nevada +5, North Carolina +9, and Pennsylvania +4. Wisconsin +5. He gains from having a five-way race. The liberals are incensed at RFK Jr. especially over this. I realize that RFK Jr. and Trump are having a spat right now, but let me explain, by the way, really quickly why that's happening. Donald Trump does not want his supporters supporting RFK Jr. A lot of those people that might be inclined to endorse him, RFK Jr. that is, are core MAGA, actually, and single issue on certain medical topics that I won't bring up on a YouTube live stream. He's trying to rally them back to his side. Biden, meanwhile, is doing very little of that kind, which I think is unwise. I think he's going to pay a price politically for that. We've got other polls, actually, from the other day. General election, Trump v. Biden specifically, a tie for Morning Consult, +4 for Trump from Harvard-Harris, and in a five-way race, +7 for Trump. Then a +4 as well from the same Harvard-Harris, assuming that it's a two-way matchup. Trump is running a bit ahead in a five-way matchup, and that's not surprising since two of those candidates are leftoids. You know, Jill Stein just got herself a fucking arrested the other day, you know, as part of a Gaza protest. So she's probably not exactly catering to the independent vote or a right-wing crowd. I think she's catering to the people who are actually potentially willing to vote for her. If she manages, and Cornel West manages, to drain 1 million votes in total, that's all, in some of these sensitive states on these urban campuses, away from Joe Biden, I don't know that he can win. RFK Jr. is siphoning, I think, slightly more votes from Biden as well than he is for Trump. The worry on the surface, Trump and some of his people play a big game about being real worried about RFK Jr. pounding him and calling him names and stuff. That's all bullshit. It's political theater. Really, they're happy that he's in the race. He's not taking as many votes from Trump as he is from Joe Biden. I guarantee that. So today's poll analysis, the latest round of polling, utterly crippling to the Biden administration. A total wash, actually. I mean, if you're looking at +4 in Pennsylvania, if Pennsylvania is no longer going to be on the table, if the swing is going to be, the swing could be Maine for all we know. And we haven't really seen that in a while. I have a feeling that Trump might pull off a crazy political stunt where he ends up getting not only the popular vote, but ends up winning more states than he did in 2016. It's not outside of the realm of possibility. I need more Maine polling at this point. Maine, New Mexico, oddly enough, potentially, based on some of the demographic shifts that we're seeing. Some of these states that haven't really been in play in a long time could very much be in play. Now, don't say it's impossible. Nobody thought Michigan would be in play in the 2016 election. Well, it's gone blue for like 5 cycles, and it keeps getting bluer. Donald can't possibly win Michigan. It's obviously going to be Hillary country. Yeah, it'll be a little bit closer maybe, but she'll still win it. Well, she didn't win it. Pennsylvania, the same way. I have a feeling he wins at least 5 of the 6 competitive states that he had lost in 2020. I have a feeling that there's a good chance that he mints Virginia and or Maine and or New Mexico. He might win all of these. It could be all of the above. And that's mainly because of the economy and the border crisis, nothing else. It's mainly and Biden's poor messaging. Sparky, feds have infiltrated protests on both sides with agent provocateurs and crisis actors to promote chaos. Absolutely. Had someone earlier deriding me and saying that I was calling patriots feds. No, I call feds feds. If I sense that it's glowing in the dark, I'm going to point that out. And, Billdozer 74. They held Trump in contempt for violating the unconstitutional gag order. Fined him $9,000. I'll probably rant about this one on my next live stream. That judge should gag on something. Yeah, maybe a big cock, a slamaconda or something. $9,000 means nothing to Donald Trump. He's just going to shrug it off and keep doing it. He's going to keep doing it because he knows that if they jail him, they're fucking insane. He can violate it with impunity. Pepe Payne. Hot take. Felons should be locked up forever or death penalty unless rights are fully restored. To release with conditions taking rights is now tyranny takes over, i.e. voting. Third option exported. I partially agree with you. I think if someone is such a danger to society that they can't be allowed to vote or own a firearm, they should be locked up in the loony bin. They would have been considered criminal lunatics by our founders. Non-violent felons should be totally clear the second that they leave the gates. They should be able to immediately go to a gun store and own a firearm. They're not violent criminals. Your mom was a hamster. Sticks, I DM'd you on Twitter. Palestinians are using MREs to make bombs. Haha. Yeah, the magnesium in them, I suppose, is, potentially usable. Bayonne 201, good morning from Gay Stowe, Vermont. So happy to be catching your streams again. Would it be too cringe to post on Front Porch for him that I'm interviewing new friends? I'm confused as I enter my 30s. Front Porch, I don't even know what that is, but no, do what you want to do. Pablo Meal, good morning. The rancher that was on trial for shooting an illegal on his property, George Allen King, was acquitted. Yes, we'll be talking about that, actually. I'm glad about that. Ego Mayhem, also a bit of all old news, but Afro Man coming back in 24 to remake his hit song into Hunter Got High cracked me the fuck up. I watched that the other day. It's pretty good. Yes, look up Afro Man, Hunter Got High. And it takes me back to the 2000s internet. Sassmaster 531. Do these numbers mean it will be hard for honkening? Yes, it will be much, much more difficult than in 2020 to pull off anything like that because of the sheer amount of voters that have flocked to Trump recently, especially Hispanic voters. Next news story, 4 police officers shot dead serving arrest warrant in North Carolina. Now, I had a tip actually from someone who lived there and ended up moving to Virginia and was talking about the rise in crime over there and how it's become a problem that some people have moved out if they can because that area has become overrun. And it's not just that one community. I mean, looking at Rutland, for example, it's not overrun with crime, but it's definitely dicier than it was before. Burlington, meanwhile, has been overrun. Burlington used to be consistently in the top 10 list of nicest cities in the United States. It's not on that list anymore. There's a reason for that. It's scenic. There's lots of trees and parks. You're right up against the nice lake, Lake Champlain, home of the takes. You've got UVM. And you've got all sorts of cool restaurants. It's a nice city overall. The layout is nice. At night, it's reasonably quiet. During the day, it's a hub of activity. You got Church Street and Pearl Street and all these other places. There's a lot of nice things there. But the crime rate has skyrocketed, to the point where Vermont man is now challenging Florida man as a meme. It's normally not actual Vermonters doing that. And when you look at their mugshots, quite clearly, they probably weren't born in the state. I'm just saying that. I will say nothing further on a YouTube live stream. But yeah, there are a lot of people from New York City and Boston and places like that come and then they sell drugs and eventually they end up shooting somebody because they're high or because they got stiffed on a drug deal or something. It's been overrun. Charlotte, apparently, according to my particular source, having lived there, is somewhat similar. This individual killed 4 police officers. 3 were killed on scene. 4th one succumbed to his injuries. I believe another one is in critical condition, currently fighting for his life. So it might be 5 dead in the end. 3 other officers also wounded. Not sure about their condition. So a rather unfortunate scenario. Now, normally I believe that felons should own guns. But if a person is engaging in this kind of behavior, especially with apparently a woman and a child in the house at the same time, so endangering them as well. Our founders would have conceived of that as criminal lunacy. They would have locked them up in the nut ward for the rest of their lives. They would not have been given a musket. Even if you were under attack, you wouldn't give them a musket because they're incapable of being a member of the militia. To be a member of the militia requires that you're properly regulated, that is, well able to function. Is a person who is murderous able to function in that capacity without presenting a risk to his compatriots? No. So he's not a member of the militia. Non-violent felons, even violent misdemeanors, those individuals should be able to own a firearm free and clear. And I believe in massively reducing the regulatory burden on firearms. They should be cheaper, more plentiful, lots more ammo, manufacturing and all these other things, importation. It should all be completely allowed. That's sort of the point of the Second Amendment. But if a person is butcherous, then they should not own a firearm. They should not be capable of doing so. And that includes weapons that felons currently can own, like black powder revolvers, actual muskets, bladed weapons, literal fucking cannons, fucking flamethrowers, by the way, in most U.S. states, and most people don't know this. They shouldn't be, but they should be locked up. If they're that grave of a threat to society, lock them up, incarcerate them. If you think they've been treated for their anger issues or whatever, then if they've been rehabilitated, if that's possible, that's perfectly fine. Again, they get their rights restored. Also, why should felons be able to vote? If you can't be trusted with a firearm, why should you be trusted at the ballot box? I'm just putting that out there. The deprivation of people's rights should be commensurate with them being found completely incapable of operating under them. For instance, if a person is profoundly mentally ill, to the point where they're completely delusional and they have to live in the asylum or something like that, they're never going to recover. It's nuts. Do we give them a ballot? No, they're not capable of voting. Would you give them a gun? Probably not. They might harm themselves or others. But if a person is guilty of some sort of nonviolent offense, even a felonious one, when they leave, they should be having their rights restored. That's my take on it. Cult of Carl. Hi, Sticks. I run a small podcast called the RNG Podcast. I would love to interview you. How do I do so? A DM on Twitter. Yes, you can DM me on Twitter. If you have before, bump it to the top and I'll take a look at it. Digital Apex. Currently deployed in Jordan and had 2 barrages of rockets go over the base here. Let's see if the Houthis want to join in on the merriment too. Clank. Be safe. Keep your head down. Felix Fanboy Rico. Sticks got the long hair bust down. Slay King. Yeah, I've also got a nice tan right now. My hair is currently full of garden soil, actually. Didn't shower the other day. I like the feel of dirt under my fingernails. I don't understand people that wear gloves in the garden. Fuck it. Killer Kriegsman. Just wanted to show my appreciation from the UK. Thanks for covering a wide range of topics. Thank you very much. Joe Hoffman. All life begins with new and ends with new. Hee. Interesting. Let's see. Fuck. Music and fiction. Portland State University is shut down, but it is Antifa outside instigators claiming responsibility instead of the cloaked Gaza supporters. All that Ukraine money going to its shock troops in the USA. There are leftoid organizations that are protesting at this time too. The Grizzly 617. Do you think that if the pro-Palestine left goes full George Floyd at the DNC convention, it will finally crack a wedge between the neolibs and the cringe fringe left? Yeah, I do. Yes, I do. Absolutely. By the way, we've got Anton in the house, and I'm happy for that. Thank you very much for the pile of meat. It's a ponderous pile. I'll be eating some of that fucking biltong later when I go out and work in the garden. Yeah, gotta have your protein. Webster's Wares. Good morning, clankers from Endicott, Washington. Free shipping using code STICKS at www.websterswares.com. Sticks, did you receive the box of your merch we sent, and can you do a video for them? Possibly. Yes, I did, and I will be doing that. I'll be combining that with a couple of other shout-outs because I've gotten a lot of cool shit lately. And so, yes, you will absolutely have your stuff shown on video. Thank you, by the way, very much for those knives. I like to collect blades, you know. Wasted Bonehead, good morning from the grave. Sorry if I don't say hi to the glorious individuals in the live chat. Rumble's live chat on the app is suicidal on a good day. Pepe Payne, next question. Who are the ones making the judgments? This is the scariest double-edged sword. Yeah, exactly. That's become a problem. Cult of Carl, I send the DM looking forward to a possible chat. Thank you very much. Sir Zorg, I really want to see a discussion between you and Academic Agent on libertarianism. Both of you are friends with Sargon. I like both of you. Sounds cool. Yeah, if he reaches out to me. Wasted Bonehead. Sticks, I got a victory over Sigil. I got him to admit being a furry on Twitter. I win it on life. Intriguing. Anyways, let's do our merch partners before we go into the rest of the news, because we got some cool shit there, actually. We have pumpkinfirecrafts.us, where you can get bookmarks, keychains, belt chains, amulets, engraved spoons, and more. So check them out again, pumpkinfirecrafts.us. We have biltongusa.com. Make sure to use code STICKS for free shipping. I just got a huge shipment of biltong. He sent me some of those rolls. He sent me another sausage, 5 bags of the actual biltong itself. And then some ground elk and some ground venison, actually, one of which unfortunately leaked a little bit in the package, but we'll be using it fairly quickly, so I don't imagine it'll be a problem. Make some good burgers. You can also get Sticks merch there. Mugs, tumblers, and shirts. We have wickedneedleembroidery.bigcartel.com, where you can get Sticks, Hex, and Hammer hats, like the one that you see behind me. We have heritageheirloomseedcompany.com, home of the seed survival bucket. By the way, today is the last day to purchase one and still be in their running to potentially get all of your money back from that. There's also a Sticks, Hex, and Hammer soap box. Yes, there is an official Sticks, Hex, and Hammer soap. It is clove, it is blueberry, and it is cedar. And it smells amazing. I mean, all their soaps smell amazing, but I'm partial to that one because I like those 3 scents mixed together, and you can get that as well. It comes with various limited edition goodies in there. We have websterswares.com/sticks-wares. Again, tomorrow I believe I'll be doing a merch shout out. Webster's Wares, of course, he sent me a bunch of things that are available now. I really like the beanie. I really like the knives. I really like everything, but yes, I will be doing that. Jamandbean.com, that is JAMN where you can get delicious coffee and delicious tea, actually. The Costa Rica blend is my favorite coffee. I will always point that out. Smooth, rich, has a great, great scent. Normally when you have a coffee, it can be kind of rot gut if you just take it black. Some people, they put cream or whatever in their coffee to deacidify it. You're not going to need that. It's perfect the way it is. Drank it black several times. And finally, MTPew, that is MTPEW.com, where you can get ammunition. We've got 40 Smith & Wesson, 45, 9mm, 223, 5.56, and more. You can get newly manufactured, or they have range brass as well. So now we'll get back to the news. Oh, actually, a couple of super chats. Harrison Bergeron went to a pig harvesting class last week. Going to have some good bacon and hams when my hogs are ready to harvest. I'd like to raise a pig. I'd probably feel sad slaughtering it, but then think about how tasty it is. You won't feel sorry for very long. Do that fix cut like speck, what they call it in speklop in the Netherlands. It's just a really big, thick cut of bacon, and it's really, really good. It's delicious. I'm no hypocrite. I eat animals. Someday animals will eat me. I'll just have them pile my body out on a slab like the Zoroastrians do and let the vultures pick away at my carcass. I'll live stream it too. One last infusion of money, as I slowly become more and more decrepit and reduced to a grinning skeleton. I think that'd be funny. Images show U.S. military building floating pier off Gaza. Pentagon says it will cost only $320 million. That's, by military standards, pretty fucking cheap, actually. I support doing this, actually, insofar as we're going to continue sending aid to Gaza, because Western leadership led to a situation where this war broke out in the first place. It makes sense to use a big-ass floating pier to coordinate and organize things, get them over to Gaza. It'll actually, in the end, it'll cost less because you have that pier built. It'll actually save us money. That's the irony. It's a good investment. And normally, I mean, it should never have happened that we needed to have such a setup. And so I understand that. I'm not saying that I support the war in general, Western leadership dicking around, sending billions and billions of dollars to the region. Never should have been necessary in the first place. But insofar as it became necessary, if you can raise the efficiency and save us a couple dollars a piece in tax money, fucking so be it. And we can use it for military applications later, potentially. And there's nobody that's going to, what are they going to do? Fire an anti-ship missile at the floating pier? Well, we'll just build another one. It'll cost less than the missile, apparently. Those things are expensive. It's not a very good-looking structure. It's pretty ugly, ugly when you really think about it. Look at the link in the description to the pictures of it. It's an enormous fucking pier. It's the size of a significant vessel already, and it's still not completed. And it'll take them a little bit of time to end up doing it. The United States Central Command released images of a floating pier being built by the U.S. military off the coast of Gaza, which, once complete, is intended to help deliver much-needed humanitarian aid to the devastated Strip's starving population. Fortunately, it will take several months, I believe. On track to begin delivery of humanitarian assistance to Gaza from the sea in early May. So that'll be quick, which will begin at the equivalent of 90 trucks per day of aid and then quickly scale up. Quickly is a malleable term to 150 trucks per day once full operational capacity is achieved. One thing, can't I get some of those MREs for free? I mean, I pay taxes and shit. Can I get a crate of them? I'm always game for MREs. Still got some in the room. I got to polish some of those guys off. Some of them are good. White chicken chunks, we have found out, are not so good. I pity anyone that receives one of them when they're in the military. I'm sure that you can find somebody. There's got to be one retard in your squad that's crazy enough to eat it. So swap it out for his vegetable crumbles or something. Sparky. Increased CO2 for my seedlings this year by co-locating them with my wine fermentation. Seedlings were healthy, robust, and ready for planting in no time. Yeah, I want to get a CO2 pumping system, actually, myself. It's real good shit. They do that in greenhouses all the time. There you raise the CO2 level, and as long as they're getting adequate sunshine and water, you've eliminated another limiting resource. They'll grow twice as fast. Dread Clown, should Trump be elected? Should we expect a leftist parody of a right tactic, J6 Capital, or something based off a SCOTUS decision? Leftists riot even when left-wing governments are in charge. So yeah, you can expect crazy shit. Curse these metal hands. Freddie Mercury was Zoroastrian. Yes, I believe he was indeed. Webster's Wares, when do you put out tomatoes? I'll be putting them out, weather permitting, in about a week or thereabouts. They're already started. They're already flourishing. They're out in the spring house outside dampening off, probably about a week. But then I've got to make sure that there's no possibility of even a light frost from the time that I put them out and further. Wasted Bonehead. I think I'll quit while I'm ahead. Oh, yeah, I'm also renting out a grave for extra money. The ad is on my Twitter page. That being said, I've already got a buyer, so you guys better be giving good offers. Sleeping in a grave, you know. Used to be edgy. Apparently now it's becoming mainstream among the undead community. They're promulgating degeneracy. Oh, shit. Next news story. This is your white pill of the day. Prosecutors have dropped all charges against Arizona rancher George Allen Kelly, who is 75 and looks like the sort of dude who wears a bolo tie repeatedly. After a jury was deadlocked last week, he will not be retried. This is good. The one thing that was concerning, he had a mistrial declared, because the jury couldn't come to a conclusion. It was a hung jury. This could be because one person refused to find him guilty, or it could be because one person declared that they were guilty and everyone else is like, let him off the hook. It was probably between the two of those. We're not sure right now. We might get the jurors might speak out about the case or something. It could be jury nullification that we're seeing. What happened with George Allen Kelly was that he had some illegals trespassing on his property, jogging across his crops, and he shot one of them. But they couldn't find the actual bullet that pierced the individual and killed him. Testimony from a third party, one of the other illegals there, which should not have even been admitted in the first place, given the situation, was that George Allen Kelly shot him. But then we found out that the star witness for the prosecution was a drug runner and had actually been convicted of this and kicked out of the country some years ago. The case didn't make sense. You don't even have a bullet. You don't have any actual forensic evidence that it was even George Allen Kelly that shot him. He claims that one of the other people that was running across his property shot him in the back. And not George Allen Kelly, but the man that died claims that it was one of the others that he was firing warning shots at above their heads that he killed him. So it's basically he said, she said. Well, that's not enough evidence to convict a person for second-degree murder now, is it? The one thing I was concerned about is the possibility of retrial. That they would say, well, we didn't get it this time, but maybe next time we won't have jury nullification or something going on. I think that they looked at their options and they said the public is on his side, by and large, because of the migrant crisis, number one. Number two, we still don't have that forensic evidence. We never found the bullet that actually killed the dude, so we're not 100% sure. We can't establish that George Allen Kelly, beyond a reasonable doubt, didn't just fire warning shots and somebody else shot at him. We have no clue. He claims he was shot at, and of course his wife was in the house, so there's an increased impetus for self-defense. He sees trespassers crossing the border. They're already illegally in the country. They're breaking the law in multiple ways. They're illegally in the country. They're trespassing. Allegedly, one of them was armed and possibly shot this other individual. There was always a less than 50-50 chance that he would be convicted. And I spoke about this many moons ago. I'm thankful that the jury found correctly that they didn't find him not guilty, but they couldn't make up their minds. So at least one person on the jury had common sense, and probably it was more than half of them. And it's good that the prosecutors decided to drop this. It's a dead case. You're not going to be able to convict him. He can go back to ranching and making out with his wife and shit like that. And, I mean, at his age, well, you never know. He looks like a kind of a manly man's dude. So, yeah, he can probably still get it up. Unlike Mitch McConnell, doesn't even need a little purple pill, probably. So, congrats to George Allen Kelly. It's good. Even if he shot him, personally, I think if someone crosses the border illegally, potentially armed, while your wife is sitting there in the house and they're trespassing on your property, I don't see the problem in shooting them at that point if you believe that they're armed. He claims he was fired upon first. If somebody's firing on me on my own property and I drop them, why should I be the one facing charges? And by the way, the investigators here, why couldn't you find the fucking bullet? Can't you use a goddamn metal detector and sweep the general area for like 500 feet around where the body fell? You're not capable of doing that? Apparently not. It's the magical, mysterious missing bullet case. Sparky, that's right. Freddie was from that island off Kenya where it was when it was a British colony. And Zanzibar. Couldn't think of the name before. Zanzibar looks pretty cool to me. I wouldn't mind visiting Africa. It's just you've got to make sure that you go to one of the places in Africa where you're not going to get Boko Haram'd or something like that. Cat Cans, any chance you'll do a Twitter space and take some awesome schizo calls? Yeah, I could do that sometime, maybe, I suppose. Set up a little phone line. I'd need a dump button or something like that because otherwise somebody might start screaming the N-word and get me banned or something. It's too bad that it's hard to host a show because you've got to have that sort of setup in order to actually host it and not get banned. Otherwise, somebody that doesn't like you will just show up and say weird shit. Kevin Dolan, if birth rates continue to plummet, civilization will end. I am neither natalist nor anti-natalist. Let's make that clear. I believe that it is pertinent that the human race continue to breed, that I've got a child, for instance, myself. It is important for people to have kids. That being said, if the world population were to slowly, and I do mean very slowly, reduce by 10 or 20%, I don't see the problem. I don't think that's civilization ending. If anything, that means more efficient potential allocation of resources. It means the potential compacting of more wealth in fewer hands among those in the lower classes as well. It could be helpful. The problem is that in some countries, you have a fucking collapse in population. It's nowhere near replacement, for example, in South Korea, Japan, Italy, Germany, parts of the United States as well, even China. They're having grave difficulties right now. For a long time, they had a one-child policy. Then they had the two-child policy. Then they basically scrapped it all together. Now they're trying to incentivize. They're trying to pay people to have kids there. They're sort of taking up an Italian approach. It's not working. People just aren't interested in it. Part of it is a malaise, I think, worldwide as the result of globalism. That is that people feel like the world is, it's just not as up to snuff as it was 30 or 40 years ago. They feel demoralized. They feel black-pilled about the state of the world. And they're like, well, my finances won't allow it. Why would I want to bring a kid into the world? Because look at the world is so messed up. My thing for people would be that we need to have balance. That is that you want near replacement rate for a very prolonged period of time, slowly decrease the population a bit. I'm not talking about killing people or sterilizing them. I'm simply talking about trying to do family planning. And then you stabilize it. Then you operate roughly at replacement. I don't want every square inch of the world filled in with condominiums and skyscrapers and shit like that. I don't want to live in Blade Runner, for example. It is good to have wide open spaces. It's good to conserve things. It's good for people to have property. I think, honestly, people would breed more readily if there was less congestion. That is that my theory for years has been pheromonal overload. That is that people are constantly being exposed, both naturally and artificially, to pheromones all of the time. Nature naturally is going to try to cap the population. There's got to be a biomechanism by which human beings, the sperm count, the reception of women to becoming pregnant, it has to be becoming more low because they're constantly around other people. That's why you would expect a country with less population density to have a higher birth rate. It's not just because, hey, 9 out of 10 of my kids are going to die in infancy. It's also a biological drive. And so there's a feedback mechanism to try to prevent the population from becoming so massive that it runs out of resources effectively. I believe in the pheromonal theory of population displacement effectively. It also doesn't help all the microplastics and things like that. I'm sure that doesn't help. Clem Semple, with how many tie sticks would 666 mix if 666 could still mix with tie sticks? I don't know. It's a mystery to me. Re24, Sticks, I find myself being lazy in my routines every day. What and where should I start to fix it and become more productive? Just get yourself into the habit. You'll have to force yourself at first. When push comes to shove, the tough get going. In other words, I used to be more lazy too. I used to be more lazy in my routines. Then we almost lost our house and I had to pull myself up by my bootstraps and I became a workaholic. It was great. Great for my bank account anyway. Bank account at the moment is a little bit more drained. I had something, I have to pay taxes and bullshit like that. I have to pay Uncle Sam tens of thousands of dollars. If it were going to the homeless, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I could build a little bit of border wall. That'd be fine. No, instead, we're bombing people as usual. It's the same bullshit and paying politicians that don't really represent us. And finally, team develops new type of anticoagulant whose action can be rapidly stopped. Yes, indeed. This is a big breakthrough, by the way. Anticoagulant treatments are crucial for managing many conditions, such as heart disease, stroke, and venous thrombosis. Current options, however, carry an inherent risk of serious bleeding due to trauma or unforeseen events. So you're on your blood thinner, but then you get a bad cut on your hand, and it's just spraying blood everywhere. A wound that the normal person would be able to stanch. You're more like a hemophiliac, and so you're like passed out on the floor. A team from the University of Geneva and the University of Sydney has developed a new anticoagulant designed to have an on-demand reversible activity with fast-acting antidote. The approach could revolutionize the use of anticoagulants in surgery and other applications. The mechanism of activation and deactivation of the active principle could also be used in immunotherapy. These results are published in Nature Biotechnology. Yeah, so the idea is that sometimes you have to give somebody an anticoagulant for one purpose or another. But if the anticoagulant's action is too long and then something else happens, like, we had to give this person an anticoagulant because of a heart problem. Now we need to perform open heart surgery. Oh shit, their blood's going to spray everywhere. They might die on the slab. But if you can deactivate it and then do the surgery, stitch them up, and then maybe reactivate it almost instantaneously again, that's a lot better than it lasting for however many hours in the system and there being very little you can do about it. Unless you counteract it with some other drug. But, these things can sometimes be a toxic mix. The more medication you're on, the more likely there's some sort of a interconnection between them, some toxic fucking side effect. This is a really, really good development. And getting into more medical and science news these days, by the way. Blood thinners, yeah. Anejo Dave. Blood thinners is how my mom died. Be careful with that shit. My condolences. Yeah, they can be a big problem. Apparently, they've now developed one that they can shut off almost instantaneously. Imagine that you can take your anticoagulant and then you have like a little shot in your fridge. So if you get injured the next time you're like doing the spiral saw, you're cutting the end off your Christmas tree or something, like a Mad TV skit with Sasso. Imagine you can just, you take that shot and then the bleeding slows down. And so, you actually have time to call for help or something like that. Time to stanch the wound, the dripping wound. I mean, if a person has hemophilia or they're on certain blood thinners, they get a little cut and it'll bleed for an hour. They lose a significant amount of blood from something that to most of us is a very trivial injury. So that's pretty exciting. God, you save probably tens of thousands of lives a year with that. SunnyCat85. Sticks, my Dragon Boat Club K2N wants to send you a Dragon Boat paddle as an honorary member. K2N Online Paddle School, Clank. That sounds pretty fucking cool. Yeah, you can send me a Dragon Boat paddle. That's fine. I'll give you my address if you DM me on Twitter. Musically Assured Destruction. You previously talked about some good Zoomer music in past streams. What are some bands or artists you recommend? Let me pull one up now. I'll just link it in the in chat here. Let's see. Which one should I? Oh, thank you to the people yesterday recommending that. That was it's pretty fucking good. Yeah, let's see. I like this song. This one's been on the radio a couple times on the alternative channel. This was uploaded 5 months ago, so this is a fairly new album. Bolus Pupul. I don't know if that's the way to pronounce it. I'm going to pop it in chat. I'll pop it over on Rumble, too. Let's see. Did that go through? Just a sec. Get down there. Piss. God, I hate that. One thing about StreamYard, when you switch between the starred and the live tabs, it really should go all the way down to the bottom and not stop you at the top. Because if you get this many, I mean, if you're only getting 5 chats in your stream, it doesn't matter. But when you get this many chats, it becomes a difficulty. Yeah, okay, it went through. Sorry, people in Rumble, for the delay. Yeah, I know it's a YouTube link. You know, it's probably not on Rumble. Sparky, speaking of China policies, how about China's sparrow policy from around 1960? Oh, yes, you'll remember that one where they decided, hey, the sparrows are eating our grain. Let's kill the sparrows. And so they chased them around with pots and shot them and you know, trapped them and everything else, reducing massively the sparrow population. Then the bugs came, and there were no sparrows to stop them. And then their grain got eaten by bugs instead. I'm sure that there are plenty of people eating bug burgers around that time. They also had a metal requisitioning policy where they had people taking like their steel and iron implements, and they all melted it down. They created a hoard of pig iron that was completely useless and unsaleable. And that caused problems as well. King of Biltong, good morning from Anton's Meat. Free shipping for your Biltong using code STICKS on BiltongUSA.com and AntonsUSA.com. Try our import groceries on Anton USA. Cleaner ingredients compared to US foods. And fucking delicious. By the way, thank you very much for that meat shipment. It will not go to waste. I can't wait. I'm going to try the venison later. That's the one that I think that I'm most interested in at the time. Thank you also for that cheese sausage. Yeah, cut that up, fry it off with some egg, make a scramble, and some fucking potatoes. That'll be fucking delicious. Wasted Bonehead, Sabaton or Ghost? Which Swedish band is better? Why not have both? I like them both a lot. I think I listen to Ghost more often, though. Ghost is pretty cool. Cat cans. Ever hear of pig metal? Yes, I've seen metal and grind music with pig screams in it. It's pretty fun. I like gore grind. I like intestinal disgorge, carcass, bands like that. I've liked them since the 2000s. Yes, Anton, the sausage is real good. It's definitely going to be eaten. I'm going to give the ground elk and venison to my dad that you sent because he's going to want to turn that into a burger. I'm not going to be able to hold him back anyway, so he can eat that. Or mix it together. Make a couple burgers. That way we even have a venison elk mix, and then maybe I can have one. He'll probably want both of them anyway. Yeah, I'll definitely be eating some venison when I'm in the garden, which will be right after the live stream. Oh, yes. Kilowatt, what are your thoughts on the recent rise of people converting to Christianity? I've seen quite a few high-profile people converting, like Candace Owens and Russell Brand. Do you think it's a grift? I do not judge other people's souls. I do not know whether their conversion is genuine or not. You know them by your actions, basically. If they convert and they're trying to be charitable and do the Jesus thing, I'd say probably, yeah, they've converted. They're an actual Christian. But I think that most even self-professed and genuinely converted Christians don't lead a Christian life. There's not enough charity there, too much materialism and things like that, too much judgment, actually. I don't think that's what Jesus had in mind. Now, Jesus didn't say, go to church once a week, pray a little bit, and then you're forgiven. That's not what his teaching was. He was a mystic. He was an Essene. He had greater things in mind than that. Christianity, by and large, got Romanized and ritualized, including many Protestant congregations, which I find sad. Believe in whatever you want. Saxon Violets. I'm still an atheist. Lol. I'm more apatheistic. I just don't care about the theism thing. I'm spiritual, and irreligious. I'm against organized religion. I'm pro-spirituality. But as far as theism goes, I don't really have a strong opinion. CK, oh, you haven't read the Bible. Well, yes, I have multiple times, actually. Used to be a Christian when I was younger. I genuinely believed in Jesus as my Lord and Savior, got baptized and all these things, tried to be charitable and so forth. I realized that a lot of other Christians are less inclined towards, trying to be generous and help others. That's the same with every religion, though. Trust me, I'm a pagan, but there are plenty of non-charitable pagans out there as well. Joe, have you heard about the world's largest pickle? Kind of a big deal. Oh, that's right. I've got a jar of dill pickles out there right now. The real big ones, too. Can only get them at Walmart, though, sadly. It's the only place where they're affordable. That's fucking $15 probably at the average store. I don't understand it. Walmart must get a hell of a lot of taxpayer subsidies, and I hate shopping there. Sparky, wasn't Candace Owens already a Protestant Christian and converted to Catholicism? I don't know. It's possible. I don't really keep up to date on other so-called influencers, or their religion means nothing to me. It's perfectly fine. Trust me, there's going to be plenty of charity from this property at the end of the growing season because I've got 12 fucking cucumber plants out there, and there is no way that I'm going to be able to both consume, process, and can everything that's there. There's not enough time in the day. There's not enough space. You'd need 2 ovens probably just for the pickling. So, yeah, I mean, I don't want a bunch of food waste, so I'm going to donate it to the poor. I'm going to give it to a food shelf or something. Probably a Christian one. They're the ones that generally run them. I will say, there are Christian congregations that do charity really well. Oscar Gonzalez, Sticks, how do you get rid of gophers? By shooting them, my friend. Then you can eat them, potentially. Although I don't know what their meat tastes like. It's probably unpalatable, as with every other dumb, slow-moving animal that's easy to fire upon. Clausen pickles. Yes, Clausen does it best. Mount Olive is also pretty good. Antidote Dave. Gopher is awesome. Oh, okay. Well, I am in the market for another rifle at some point. Probably just nail him in the head with a 22. I'm not going to waste a 5.56 on a gopher. You need to remove the scent sacks. I'll have to look that up. My grandpa could do that sort of thing, but Dad probably could too. He's hunted a little bit in his life, skinning and stuff like that. I'll eat a gopher. Long as it doesn't look like it's got rabies or any other observable disease. I'll try anything once. I don't think you can eat mole, though. I mean, there's not a whole lot of meat on him to eat anyway. I guess you could put him on a shish kebab and put him on a rotisserie or something. Shish kebabbed mole with chunks of biltong in between so that it's actually palatable. I've never tried squirrel. I would eat it, but I would feel bad about killing the squirrel. So, yeah, I won't be bothering to try that. Rabbit I've had. It's all right. I'm not a huge fan of rabbit, although I would like to make a bunny stew at some point. Just for shits and giggles. Reminds me of the bunny picnic. You remember that old Jim Henson movie from like 87 or thereabouts? They had the bunny picnic. And it's like really over the top. But actually, if you look back, little kid movies from the 80s hit differently. There are some sort of inside jokes that are made in there that are very much adult, but they're couched in such a way that the kids aren't going to recognize that it's technically an adult joke. And that was so that the parents wouldn't completely have their eyes glaze over while they're watching the movie. I've watched it recently. I still like it. I'm fucking 36 and I watch little kid movies as long as they're the old ones. Can't really stand any of the modern ones, though. Those are retarded. They're watered down in every way. Leave the moles for the owls, foxes, etc. Yeah, we've got some foxes around here, red and brown. I would never hurt a fox. They're just too cool. They're bro tier. In fact, I wish one would park its ass in the garden and guard it against the skunks and shit. Maybe I need a pet fox. Ripsidian, yeah, it was the cocaine sticks. Yeah, I can imagine that there was some white lines in those Muppet rooms. Elmo is clearly on something. Big Bird seems to be on heroin. He's got a permanent depressive downer going on. Sigrib, need to supplement rabbit with fat. They're too lean alone. Yeah, maybe. Oh, by the way, I had a really weird dream the other night, and I wanted to tell people about it. I had this weird dream that it's towards the end, I can't even tell you some of the dream because it'd probably get me banned off YouTube. But towards the end of the dream, I was going to follow a bunch of friends that they were all heavily armed, and we had just repulsed a mass shooting actually, and I had stabbed a man to death actually who was trying to shoot other people. I threw him down some bleachers in this weird outdoor auditorium and started slicing him apart, and he was screaming, and then I slit his throat, and the trachea actually fell out through the bottom of his neck flap and gushed all over my shoes. And I was like, oh shit. Then I was trying to follow this cool gothy chick with a gun that looked like a Nerf gun, but it was a real one, up the hill away from the venue because I had suggested we should get further away. Some dude gave me a wolf pelt that one of the mass shooters had been wearing as like a congratulations for stopping one of the other shooters. And at the end, a bunch of leftoids managed to corner me in a room. I had to go to the bathroom before I could follow the rest of them up this trail that was going up the mountain. And I got woken up towards the end of this, unfortunately. I would have loved to have seen where this went. But this dude in drag, big fat dude, came in and was like questioning me about my YouTube videos. And he actually handed me like papers showing where the videos where I had mentioned like transvestites and stuff like that. And there was another one, a furry in there, and a couple of other people, and a chick outside trying to barricade the entrance. And I got the sense, oh shit, they're going to attack me. I still had my knife. When I stabbed the dude, it was exactly the same knife. And it was a lucid dream too. Like I had agency in this dream. For the first time, I had a true lucid dream. So I could do whatever I wanted. The problem is when you stop focusing on an object in a lucid dream, sometimes it disappears or changes form. So it'd be a little bit unstable. But then I was gonna stab these people because I think they wanted to kill me or beat me up or something. And they had cornered me in this room. It was a very, very strange dream. Yeah, the dude that I took out originally, he looked a little bit like that dude from Sisters of Mercy back in the 80s, only he had a shirt on underneath. Danboy D5, thanks to Clankers, Ariel, and Gerald for buying. There's still time to get some candles for Mother's Day or yourself. Use code STICKS for $10 off 2 candles at thunderrivercandles.com/store. They are very good candles. By the way, DM me on Twitter. Instead of doing the super chat thing, we can work out a more long-lasting sponsorship deal or something. And that's basically the end of it. I mean, I can't really have any more sponsors. Wouldn't have time to shout them all out. Sparky, I've had good luck planting Three Sisters style and planting cucumbers as the squash component. Yeah, the cucumber is going to be going with peas. I'll be doing that after the live stream. With the squash from Heritage Heirloom, I've got a couple of those Turk's turbans. I'm going to put those out with the corn and the bean mix. I'm going to be using the probably the bush beans, I think, with the corn. I don't really need them to climb. And a follow-up, sounds like an SSRI dream. No, I was sober, actually. I just have weird dreams sometimes. I fell into the lucid dream from a prior one, and I woke up slightly out of it, but then went back to sleep, and everything changed. I was in a house, and Liz and my daughter were there, and there was like this huge playroom. It looked like a small gymnasium, toys everywhere. And I could like levitate them around like I was doing telekinesis in this dream. But there was this like ceramic clown face on the side. And when I looked into its eyes, I could feel that like vibration that, you're on the edge of a lucid dream. And so I focused on it as intently as I could. And it slowly like focused in, and then everything became lucid. And then when I turned around, I was in the other dream after I woke up. It was interesting. I've had dreams where I've levitated outside of my body. I've had dreams where I can see the things around me, literally around me while I'm asleep with my eyes closed. It's pretty cool. I never used to be able to do that when I was younger. Only a couple of years ago did I realize it was possible. I always thought it was bullshit until it happened. Or a sleep apnea dream. I do not have sleep apnea. No, I sleep pretty well. Don't snore, don't have any problems. Sometimes I have dreams about bears, actually. So, Obuk there. Bear that have been eating deer fawn aren't bad either. I have dreams about that sometimes. Yeah, when I have bear dreams, it's usually a stress-related dream. Bears being symbolic of failure or being held back within dream interpretation. Also, one of the symbols of the Warwick family, the bear and the ragged staff, and Morvidus, the first Warwick, killing a bear or chaining it to a tree, rather beating it up with a tree trunk. It's interesting. Twiggy little shit. Bullshit, you snore. Yes, but I do not have sleep apnea. Couldn't help but weigh in on that one. I've recorded myself sleeping before. Yeah, I snore lightly occasionally, but I don't have sleep apnea. Man, I've heard some people, though, Jesus H. Christ, that snore like freight trains. It can be terrible. My dad snores quite a bit, actually. You can definitely you can hear through the wall. It's not difficult. Sometimes when I'm making my morning videos, someday if I wake up early, he's still sleeping in there, and he sleeps like a rock. I'll hear him, over and over again till he gets up. No sleep apnea for me. Just a sec here. Oh, I already posted that. Never mind. Yeah, but I had weird dreams the other night. And what was the other part of it? There was another part to the dream that came first, actually, before it was lucid. But I forgot. Oh, yeah, I was in like a shopping mall sort of thing and just sort of milling about. And I can't remember. I wasn't buying anything. I was just observing other people and sort of looking at what they were buying. And then I had the dream where I was in the house and it became lucid. And then I took down the mass shooter. And it was weird. The mass shooting one, part of it was a grocery store. And part of it was like an outdoor, like there was an auditorium and like a camping venue and a parking lot and stuff like that. And, it kept sort of shifting back and forth between the two anytime my awareness was drawn to a new thing. And I saw the dude with the wolf pelt on. And it was almost like a costume party or something in the grocery store. And I got the feeling, I'm like, that dude's going to start trouble. I had the feeling he was going to start killing. And then I saw the other dude with the leather jacket who looked like the Sisters of Mercy dude, only not, shirtless. And I got the same sense about him. And the wolf dude got taken down by these other people. I had requisitioned some sort of pellet gun off the wall that I never used because I had my knife. And then I took out the other dude, and I was warning them that we needed to get further away because I felt that there was a third shooter. And at one point I got shot, but then I revived myself with magic or something like that. I have weird dreams, just saying. Carson87, by the way, please send no more super chats. I do need to get those P's in a little bit. The CIA used astral projection to spy on the USSR. Look up Project Gateway. I know that they experimented with that, yes. I've never projected myself outside of my immediate surroundings, but I do attest absolutely 100%. I'm not lying to you. It is possible to do that. I don't know if it's possible to project yourself any great distance, but it is possible to become acutely aware of your surroundings without visually actually seeing them at all. It must be because of memory recall. I mean, I can rationalize it. Branch Damnation Sledgehammer 777. Tarl, this is your long-lost older brother, Earl. I'm sorry for all the nuggies. I respect you, little bro. Sparky, gotta say on top of harvesting cucumbers or else the vine dies when they go to seed. Earlier for cucumbers to hide with 3 sisters. Yeah, you definitely got to keep harvesting them. You can't leave them there for too long. I'm going to have them trellised up so they're not dragging on the ground and getting rotten and stuff like that. Yeah, no, absolutely. Lucid dream, remote viewing is real. Astral projection is real. I thought it was bullshit until it happened to me. Again, I'm not religious. I'm not a theist or anything like that. My spirituality didn't really verge into that sort of like the psychic phenomenon thing. It's actually real, and it's bizarre. I mean, it was the weirdest sensation. One time when we were in Demon years ago, I was just laying there. I had a lucid dream moment. I became aware of the fact that I was dreaming. My whole body was vibrating. I could shift, like it feels like a energetic body of sorts, and I could shift it around, and I could actually see the wall, and I could see, Liz next to me and all of these other things. And I never thought that was possible. I mean, my body wasn't moving at all. I was still in the same position. Somehow my awareness was able to shift all around the room. And then it also was hard to break out of it. I found that the easiest way to do that was to try to jerk yourself to the side or something like that. I've also noticed, and this is very strange, if you're ever in a lucid dream and you want to wake yourself up, ask somebody a weird question that makes no sense. And I think it's because your mind can't, because I mean, it's all literally in your brain. That's what's sensing the dream. Your brain can't really cope with the question that you've just asked your own brain. And so it just sort of snaps you out of it. It's weird as fuck. Oh, no, it's bizarre. And you can, in these dreams, by the way, you can generate whatever you want if you have the focus to do so. I've literally created things in these dreams. It's almost like being a god or something like that. You can dematerialize things or materialize them. The problem is once you create them, they have a tendency to slowly change form and they sort of take on a life of their own. It's almost like creating an astral golem or something like that. Very strange. Wolf on the Plains, fish oil will deter moles and gophers. Well, I'll have to buy a shit ton of that because we got a lot of both. By the way, to Fireburn, that is Roz Williams of Christian Death, a very good gothic band from the 80s. Only with Roz, though. The modern Christian Death is bullshit. Without Roz, it's nothing. Anyways, I'm going to go offline now. I will be back tomorrow and also live with the Quartering at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Remember that I do 2 streams on Wednesdays, my own and then the Quarterings. I will probably also be live with him on Friday to make up the last Wednesday show that I couldn't make it for because I was in Europe. Thinking about paying it ahead a little bit because, of course, I'm going to be going back to Europe at some point here for a visit and many other things. So, yeah, I appreciate all of the 4,000 people that tuned in live. I'll be back tomorrow. I got to go plant peas. That's about all. Peace out.